The triangle of OPS. So I did a video on a dashboard presenting that. It was actually my first video because I was like, okay, people have to know this, like kind of the forms, the shape that OPS has to take in symbolism for us to really understand fast. You know, the symbolism of OPS, like the human needs, you know, the OE or the extroversion at the bottom and the introversion at the top. So the introversion at the top is more unity alike, and you know, the extroversion at the bottom is multiplicity alike. So it's more others' point of view, like a lot of opinions. Like the D is more like a lot of opinions. No, the opinions that you can't really summarize because it's a lot of opinion. Maybe you can summarize, but it's more like other, that it's more in the ground, so it's more in reality, it's more realized at the bottom. No, I mean, it's kind of a mistake to say that the bottom is reality. You know, the reality is oftentimes meet in the middle. And it's kind of our bias in our culture. You know, the bottom is seen as more real than the top. So even me and my language, I'm like, okay, the bottom is more real, but it's not really true. It's more that it is expressed in more in the people. Let's say that you know, the a multiplicity of opinion, but it's not to say that, you know, the unity of opinion is not real or something like that. And the same thing with the object or purpose. You know, I wrote a purpose. Not sure, but I think maybe more purpose, but more to say that, you know, object always more multiplicity of object, multiplicity of purpose, multiplicity of things, and the OI is more like, okay, one thing, one purpose, one object. Kind of narrowing that down. Can understand that the top is more vertical, so it's more, okay, kind of the sources going to a single opinion or a single object, and the bottom is more horizontal. It's like, okay, how it applies in reality, looking, you know, at everything, you know, scanning everything on the horizon. And I guess the horizon is actually the top and the bottom meeting, you know, because the horizon, if you are at the bottom, you don't see really the horizon, you know, you see the, you know, the bottom, but you do see the, you know, let's say the 360, you know, kind of opinion around. So yeah, multiplicity. So that's kind of more the basic thing, you know, to remember, you know, multiplicity, unity, OI, OED. And after, you know, I put, you know, decider. So I say a side of a triangle is more the decider. So the observer is more, one side is more observer, you know, it's more to kind of have that summarized in your brain. So like, that's the purpose of symbolism, like the vocabulary that is summarized in your brain in an image that encapsulate a lot of charges that can have a lot of emotional charges. So, and intuition and thinking, I put them at the top. I think that universally, and I will talk about universally after this presentation, but you know, so I will not talk very much about universalism, but universalism is kind of, okay, it's like if you think of something, you know, in most case, what it will be actually. And it's kind of really hard to actually be aware of universalism. I think it's something that you have to to train over time, and kind of be aligned actually with reality to really know universalism, I would say. But intuition is actually something that is more in unity, and something that is more at the top. Thinking is actually more like something at the top, but that is actually more in decision. So people, it's more the judgment triangle. So in observation, like I said in my previous video, in observation is actually the NF at the top and the ST at the bottom. But in decision, I put perception, but it's actually not right. Actually, it's actually decision, so it's more decider alike. But it does seem like the actual triangle, it's more like you have the triangle in observation, the triangle in decision, and you have the actual triangle. And I do think that the actual triangle is more, so like a real universalism, it's like universalism of the triangle, will put intuition and thinking at the top. So they are more about unity, while the sensory and the feeling, they are more multiplicity at the bottom. So that's why I put that there. Now the info part, it's more to say that, you know, our ambivert animal, so consume and blast, they are always the top and the bottom. So they actually talk to each other. So that's why they are always, you know, the top 2 in MBTI and all that, because they have the opposite side of the triangle. Yeah, the opposite side of the triangle. So if you're OE at the bottom left, you have DI at the top right, kind of more balancing the psyche in a way. I think that's actually just to balance the psyche. That's why it happened that way. So that's why in OPS, like, yes, the symbolic charge of, so you can be play first or sleep first, because you have some symbolic charge that are savior alike or demon alike that, you know, will do that. But that's why it's always the top 2 functions, the ambivert one, that bring balance to your psyche, because they are encapsulating, you know, the 2 sides of the triangle, your 2 opposite sides of the triangle basically. So that's why I actually put info with the, you know, the top and the bottom with that. And yeah, at good states, if your triangle is doing well, or your being is doing well, so because you are in that triangle, it's like the triangle is not just a concept, it's actually just a perception of reality, well aligned perception of reality, and also in your experience. So at good state, it's like if you're embedded in your triangle very well, you have like the top will be about the vision of common purpose, and the bottom will be more an axe of gathering of forces. So your multiplicity will just be an act of gathering of forces around you, and in unity you will have the vision of common purpose. And at bad states, the bottom is more like no direction in the multiplicity, and the unity is more totalitarian. So you will be very fixed mindset about something, very you know, totalitarian, so just not paying attention. And at the bottom you have no direction, don't know what's going on, some stuff like that. At a good state, you will have forces, you will do actions, you will know what happens in your gathering of forces, and you will have the vision to actually do something about it, to bring, you know, people together, kind of a common purpose, a common vision. So that's how I see it. It's really the triangle of PS. Really summarize a lot of things in a triangle that's really aligned well with symbolism. And, you know, it's pretty much showed actually that OPS is just a symbolic system. Actually, it's not an objective system. It's more a symbolic system actually.